goodness, I'm still getting used to being blonde. Not used to this yet, but it does mean I don't care that I might not be able to get away with wearing yellow anymore. Oh well. Hello everybody, welcome back. If you have not been here before, my name is Debbie and I read a lot of books. I finished The Sleepwalker by Lars Kepler. Oh my goodness. This couple have just completely brought me in to this book. This full book series. Let's get in with that blurb. An alarm sounds in the middle of the night for a burglary in process at a winter-closed campsite in Bredang, outside Stockholm. The police spot a light in one of the farthest caravans, and when the officers open the door they are greeted by a horrific sight. Floors and walls and furniture are completely covered in blood. A man has been killed with an axe and brutally dismembered. On the floor lies a young man sleeping with a severed arm as a pillow. He is arrested and taken to Kroneberg prison, identified as 17-year-old Hugo Sand, the son of a famous writer. Hugo suffers from a rare sleepwalking condition that is activated by nightmares. He is either the perpetrator or a witness, but claims to remember nothing from the night. Detective Joona Linna contacts his old friend Erik Maria Bach to use hypnosis to try to find out what happened inside the caravan. So begins the sleepless hunt for a serial killer who is only just getting started. It's nice to have Erik back as the hypnotist, who you're introduced to in the very, very first book of this whole thing. He kind of pops up every now and again to help. It already has 4.5 stars with only 13 reviews. It came out very recently. Like, I reserved it because it needs to be translated and everything. And I'm not sure if the version at least says who translated this version. Go back to the very beginning. A very good place to start. Nope, it doesn't say who translated this version. I want the TV series to be in my life at this point now, because I know they've been working on it. But yeah, this does start off with a prologue, getting the idea that the event you're about to see in this book has happened before. And so constantly I was trying to put together what happened in the prologue and at the beginning with what happens throughout the book. And I was suspecting everybody left, right and centre. So yeah, you've got Hugo, who is the son, who suffers from the sleepwalking and these horrific nightmares, and he slept-walked to the caravan park on the night that somebody was murdered, and somehow got inside the caravan and curled up and ended up just sleeping. And it's a miracle when you find out what happened that he did not get caught in the middle of everything. I finished this a couple of days ago, and I really don't know where to begin in talking about this. Because you've got Hugo, his father, who is the writer, and a woman who is trying to be his mother, but not really, because his mother left them. And Hugo believes his mother to be a drug addict, who then ended up going to Canada, trying to get rehabilitation. He gets letters. He kind of gets letters, like his father has a box of letters that were from his mother. I'm trying to be really careful how I say this. Oh my god, it's so hard to walk the line of spoiler territory when you're right on the edge of it. Yeah, as I was going through, I was kind of getting slightly Psycho vibes as well. Just going to pop that one out there. Because it's already been done before, I did not suspect Hugo. Because there was one of the books where the person who witnessed it ended up actually doing it. And I was just thinking, I don't think that's the case. I don't think they do it that close to a book where they've already done it. And so I was just like, there's no way that Hugo did this. He definitely witnessed something. His nightmares means that he's witnessed something. And his nightmare made him think he was following his mother, and so there were points where it's just like, oh, has his mother come back? Is his mother doing it? And I was completely off the mark there, I'll tell you that. But it was a theory that crossed my mind. When Joona comes in, and he's just like, look, this kid was sleepwalking, he was having a nightmare, we need to see if there is any possible way of finding out if there's any way of him remembering what he technically saw. Because when he sleepwalks, his eyes are open, so he can see things. So maybe the wonderful Erik Maria Bach, the hypnotist, can help us to understand what he saw. And so through the hypnotist's sessions, there's a point when where Hugo starts describing something that they don't think happened at the crime scene, and so they're trying to piece things together until you realise that it's quite possible Hugo witnessed something that he didn't realise he was witnessing, which you already kind of know that, because you know that he witnessed the murder in a way when he was sleepwalking, but there's a possibility he witnessed something else. And so that, you got all that adding up. I mean, like, I was seriously suspecting people left, right and centre, from his mother to, especially because there's the description that he remembers is the fact that it was a woman with blonde hair, and then there's little bits that come in that imply that that may have been a wig from a real woman, like real hair. And so you're trying to figure out like who could wear the wig, and then that makes you realise that it means that you're not just suspecting the women, because a man can pop a wig on. It's just like, I felt like my brain was exploding as I was reading this book. It was so good. I love it so much. It is so dark. It is so dark. Like, if you like the books of Tess Gerritsen, the surgeon, you'll like these books. Admittedly, I want to reread those books. I need to go back and start straight off with the surgeon to get back into it, because I've got more books since then. I've got more books in the series, and I want to go back and read them all in order. Because I've said before, like, if you go into the Tess Gerritsen books, having watched Rosalian Isles, it's completely different. The TV series turned it into a light detective comedy, essentially, with a couple of darker undertones every so often, bringing in the darker stuff, but they mainly presented it as a comedy detective series, and that is not the vibes of those books. When I think of those books, I think it was definitely a lot darker than the comedy that the TV show presented it as, and this is very much on the darker side. It's so dark and gritty, and so if you don't want something that dark, don't read them. But if you like something that's a bit dark, it's weird because I've never described myself as a horror movie fan. Some people love to be scared. Me, not so much. But me, now, having done stuff that is slightly, I say slightly on the horror side, like I've worked with fake blood a lot, like when I started acting I was killed off quite a lot, I've been strangled, stabbed, all sorts. I even worked at York London for a bit after uni, where I was painting with fake blood and scratch, and it was so much fun. So now I can watch that stuff from the point of view of that is a cool effect. Like when I watched Nightmare on Elm Street for the first time last year. Was it last year or was it the year before? And I was looking at it purely from a making of point of view, just thinking that is so cool how they did that. Because there's two shots in there where they spin the room and you don't even realise. Like they're filming it upside down essentially. And I'm fascinated by stuff like behind the scenes. But yeah, so now I can, even though it's in my imagination, I can control it in a way. So yeah, it's just so dark and so good. This is what American Horror Story thinks it is, but it's not. And I enjoy her American Horror Story. In these books, obviously, as I said before, Joona doesn't feel like the central focus, and in this book, because at the end of the last book I was just like, that's not the end, there's no way it can be the end, because there's a threat to Joona at the end saying this isn't over regarding the Sandman and all of that going on. There's no reference, well, there's hardly any reference to what's happened previously in this book, so it's obviously one for another book. This is mainly the Sleepwalker contained in this book, with not much reference to what has happened before in regards to Joona and his family. There are references to his girlfriend, to his now girlfriend Valeria, and his daughter, but the bulk of what we have been looking at in regards to Joona's storyline, there's not much of it in here. So that was a thing, me going in thinking, oh, are we going to get more about the aftermath of the Sandman? I keep on saying Sleepwalker. This one's a Sleepwalker, the Sandman, and the twins, and like who's dead, and how that can come back to bite him. That this is mainly a self-contained story in regards to this murder mystery, this serial killer, and how long it might possibly be going on for, especially when you can take into consideration the introduction and you realise, oh, was this the start of it? Yeah. Because at the very beginning you see a couple, you realise that the woman might possibly be having an affair and her son is in the other room. You get the idea that he's like a toddler, like he's not like a baby, but he's a bit older than that, so enough to quite possibly see something. I just say that. And it is later referred back to, as you realise just how relevant that introduction was. And obviously, of course it's relevant. It's the introduction to the book. It's there to plant a seed in your mind. But at the end, that seed has become a full flower. I'll just put it that way. I must sound so cryptic right now. It's just because it's so difficult to talk about. But seeing how Hugo is treated in regards to him being at the crime scene, and obviously they need to talk to him. They need to find out what he knows. They arrest him and think that he did it. And there's Joona thinking, if he did it, would he really just curl up and go to sleep and use the arm as a pillow? No. But obviously we need to treat this person as a witness. And at the moment, he has no idea what he saw. So in comes the hypnotist to work on that. But then you're also seeing his father, the writer, trying to write a book about what's happening. And so you're questioning the father's motives, you're questioning Hugo's motives in there as well, and his girlfriend, who seems to keep going off the grid, even though she called the police at one point when he was having a nightmare and sleepwalking. And yeah, there's so many people that you are pointing fingers at in this book, and it is a proper puzzle, and there are points when you really do feel like you've got pieces of the puzzle from the wrong puzzle. You really do feel like you've got several puzzles going on, but it all does equal one puzzle. I promise you, it is one puzzle, even though at times you feel like you've got the corner from a completely different puzzle. Gotta love Deb's metaphors here, don't you? I feel like I've said nothing. Which is probably how you feel right now. But no, it's just so clever, it's so dark. It is so interesting seeing the puzzle pieces go together, especially as Joona figures it out, because Joona is one who he can look at a crime scene and pretty much know the order of things just from the blood splatter. Like, he's one of those people who just knows things and notices things that people don't, that other people don't. And so it is fun watching somebody who is presented as kind of like this all-knowing person and realising that he doesn't have the full puzzle yet. He doesn't have all the pieces yet. It was just so good. It was so clever. In fact, that it does have its slightly lighter moments as well, but only slightly, just enough to kind of pick you up before it goes straight into the dark thing again. Especially because these murder scenes are brutal. As it said in the blurb, people get chopped up and dismembered. Like, it's like, don't eat before reading these books if you get a bit queasy. No, fortunately, when it's just in my mind, it's fine. But I remember the scene in American Horror Story in Double Feature where the kind of like the vampire blood stuff, where he goes to the supermarket and he's just drinking all of the blood out of all the meat, and I was like, bleh! No, I couldn't watch it. I had to turn round and wait until the sound effects had stopped, and then just went, is it over? No, it's not over, because I was like gagging. It was like, no, I cannot watch people drinking what looks like bodily fluid. I can't do it. And we all know as well that I don't do well with bones breaking. No. Because this book obviously involves the breaking of bodies, but it's not that much of a description. It's more knowing the after of it. Of just like, okay, so the head has been chopped off, and it's just like, okay. This body part is over here, that body part is over there. So yeah, it does paint a scene. I'll say that. Not enough for me to actually throw up, but there were, when I was reading it, was just like, okay, if this ever makes it into the TV series, I think I'd have to look away here. It is so interesting just to see where it goes. And I do wonder about the minds of horror writers, because a lot of people say that these ideas come from dreams and things, and it's just like, ugh. And also, my parents are friends with a horror writer. The author Mark Morris, I've done a talk about I've talked about one of his books before, and I think it's version of Fiddleback that we've got a signature in the front of his book that he addressed to my parents. So yeah, there have been times when I was younger when I looked at him and just like, what is going on in your brain? And asking his wife Nell, like, do you ever wonder what's going on in his head when you're sleeping next to each other? His wife Nell is an artist. This is not the life story of the Morris family. Just so good, so clever, so dark and disturbing. If that sounds up your alley, I think you'll enjoy it. If anybody else has been reading these books, you have to let me know, because yeah, they're just so good. They're so good. The Sleepwalker, Lars Kepler, Some Nightmares. you can't wake from. Ain't that an excellent tagline? And yeah, having a good close look at that front cover and trying to figure out the relevance. It's the weird, the close-up on the feather kind of looks like a hand almost. Creepy. But yeah, so thank you so much for watching. It's currently 10 to 2 for me, so cup of tea time maybe? I'm at the theatre tonight, so I'll be leaving at about 5ish because I need to go a different way because there's a bridge closed near me and I need to go. Usually I have to go over it to get to Leeds, but I'm going to have to go through town and go the other way. But yeah, I'm currently not that far off finishing Watermelon by Marion Keyes. I've opened up the first page again of The Witch's Ladder, book 1 of the Tony Marcello mystery by Dana E. Donovan. I have read them before, but I realised I never finished it, so I'm doing it again. Yeah, and then what am I listening to at the moment? Audiobook wise, I'm on Some of Us Are Liars by Fiona Cummings. I'm very much enjoying that. That's got about 4 hours 47 minutes left on it. And then I have also got Little Wing by Freya North, Come Back For Me by Heidi Parks, and The Legacy by Caroline Bond on my available audiobooks. And then I have also Reserved, I think again, by Jacqueline Wilson, which is going to be released January next year. As somebody who grew up with a lot of Jacqueline Wilson, it'll be interesting to see how I feel about the adult side of things. I don't think I've read any adult books by Jacqueline Wilson before. That sounds really dodgy, adult books, but it just means target audience adult rather than like teens and tweens and that kind of thing. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you next time with another video. I think I'm in this room for about a week, so we'll see if I do any other videos in here. But yeah, thank you, and I'll see you next time. Bye!